Good morning, kittens. It is Tuesday. Okay, I am getting ready. My husband has taken our middle kid to summer camp at our old apartments. Whatever, they have a thing that goes on from Monday through Fridays or whatever, from like 9 to 5 or something like that, which is very convenient and it's free. Even though we moved into a townhouse, like maybe 10 minutes away, our landladies love us enough that they still allow our kid to come through, participate. Shout out to them. All right, y'all, I'm in the car. I'm on my way to go handle some business. And in making these videos, let me point out a quick little tip that when I'm recording my videos, please believe that I don't have enough money to get a fancy camera right now or one of those fancy tripod stands. I've actually been using is, the phone holder that goes in the car that you attach. You can attach it to mirrors or glass surfaces and stuff like that, like the windows in the car, the windshield. That's what I've been using. And it had broke the last one we had, so this one is actually a little better because you don't have to worry about turning the thing to adjust it and make it tighter or whatever. And it has a little snap clasp thing. It's hard to describe, but it's a push thing that you can actually attach it, and you won't have too much trouble or whatever taking it off. And it still has the same suction thing, but it's a lot easier to put on and take off. So just a little FYI. Shout out to Asha Sharron. I could be saying it wrong, but she's also a fellow Lupie. And I don't know if y'all seen her YouTube or whatever. I'll put one of her links below. But she's a very inspiring young lady. And I'm saying young lady like I'm super old, right? But to look at her videos and to see what she goes through daily, because she has pulmonary hypertension, which is kind of like having high blood pressure in your lungs. But she has to have a oxygen tank wherever she goes. That's a very unfortunate situation. However, the way she just picks herself up and just keeps it moving daily, even when she's having bad days, is very inspiring, especially to somebody like me. Because I've only been diagnosed for like the last 6 months, and sometimes in my mind I still can always revert back to me being a well person, well, quote unquote. And I think I psych myself up to believe that, when I'm having good days, like today is actually decent. My hands are just a little swollen, just a little bit, and I can feel the pain in my hands. Not so much the rest of my body, because I always try to make a conscious effort that whenever I eat breakfast in the morning, that I automatically take my meds so I can go ahead and get that out of the way. I also accompany with 200 milligram Motrin, 2 of them, OTC. For those of you who don't know what OTC means, it's over the counter. It's basically you can just purchase it off the shelf, at your local Walmart, drugstore, or something like that. That's to help take care of the possible inflammation that I might encounter, which is usually daily. My meds are working, the methotrexate, it feels like it's working. And usually the day that I take it, I usually go to bed with no pain, which lately I have been going to bed with no pain, with not a lot of pain. So that's a great thing. I still wake up with some stiffness or whatever, which is going to come with the territory. But usually the day after that metho, fly in my damn car. Get your ass out. Shit. Usually the day after I take the medicine, I'm generally without pain, which of course is always a plus. It's just a lot to cope with on a day-to-day basis. I know I've said it in my other videos, but it's some real legit, like real life stuff that you have to go through. And it sucks, because I never foreseen this, like, being a part of my life, taking daily meds and stuff like that, when I barely had to take aspirin for a headache. And I say that and I put emphasis on that because that just lets you know how real these illnesses are. Sometimes you can go years ignoring signs and symptoms and not knowing for sure what's really going on with your body, because a lot of stuff lies dormant. So instead of me always running to the doctor for every cough or sneeze or whatever, generally I would know what was going on with my body. But it's just like this time I knew something just wasn't right. Not necessarily just because of the pain, but because how I was just feeling. I mean, the pain was the main factor, but you just know. I mean, in retrospect, I realized that I was getting more and more tired, because even my husband said it, that, I used to always complain about being tired. And the only time I could really, really recall at the time, sorry, y'all, I got to put on my body Earls, okay? Got to smell good. But the only time I can recall saying that I was ever tired was at the end of October last year, when me and my sister-in-law decided to put our walks on ice and pick it back up when it got warmer again. I just kept saying, especially because I had got a tooth pulled the last week of October. So I was just like, yeah, I just kept telling him, I feel like I got to take a nap. I just got to take a nap. I don't know, I'm just tired. I just feel like I got to go to sleep. So I would take me a nap for about an hour or so. Well, probably about 2 hours or so. And I wake up and I feel refreshed, but I'm just thinking over the course of the day, people can just be tired over the course of a day. And mind you, I'm a stay-at-home mother, which was another thing that I didn't think I was going to have to encounter in my life. But you know what? Things don't always go as planned. Life is life. You got to live it, right? So, with that being said, having to deal with a toddler, you got to find the energy from somewhere. So, I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe this is just something I'm just going through temporarily or whatever, and it'll be okay. But by the time it started going from my hands to my shoulders, that's when I knew something was really up. And it was just time for me to go to the doctor. Taking a lot of meds. Like, I know I've ingested well over 1,000 pills at this point. And my biggest thing is like my kidneys and my liver. In my last video, I put up how I had a hepatitis C scare, even though it came up non-detected. It just lets you know in the blink of an eye, your body can just change on you, just like it changed on me with having lupus, just that quick. It was like overnight, like literally, like my hands and stuff were already going through the motions beforehand. However, when I first started going through those symptoms with the tingling and the numbness and stuff like that, I thought at best it was diabetes, even though we all don't eat the best diet that we should, even though some of us try. And it runs in my family, that and high blood pressure. I knew it wasn't the blood pressure, because my blood pressure, I have been truly blessed. Let me tell you something. My blood pressure, even when I am sick, my blood pressure will go up to 120/80, which is still target. My blood pressure never wavers. It just never has. The only time I've ever seen it really go up, in my case, really spike up, would be like 132/84, and that was when I was pregnant. That was like one of my last prenatal visits with this last baby. But it's never gone up over 110s, over 70s. And I just been blessed, can't even complain about that, because as much salt as I eat, child, I am a salt eating fool. I prefer hypertensive snacks over diabetic snacks, let me just tell you. My grandmother, way before she died, she told me that was one of the symptoms that she had before she was diagnosed as a diabetic. Now, her and my grandfather weren't insulin dependent, thank God, but they still had to watch a lot of what they ate. But I just knew it was diabetes versus hypertension or lupus or anything else. Well, speaking of the lupus, because I know it's not hereditary, I think it's kind of linked to me having the Essure. Essure, Essure, I'll put it down below. Essure is the contraceptive that is the 2 metal coils, and they insert those in your fallopian tubes. What they're supposed to do is create a blockage, like the tissue in your tubes is supposed to grow and scar around the coils, so it prevents you from getting pregnant. So it's more or less like a tubal, except your tubes ain't tied or whatever. You just block. It's just another form of what's supposed to be permanent sterilization. I got it 3 months after I had my daughter, and then I didn't start getting symptomatic with lupus in hindsight till about July, when I said about my hands swelling and stuff like that. But of course you ignore those things, because again, I was walking with my sister-in-law and her hands were swelling, and I didn't think nothing of it, because it wasn't nothing wrong with her. Like, I know she has a bad hip, like from being in the military. Shout out to the veterans. I'm a vet too, military, or Army I meant. She had issues with her hips So she had already been taking something for that. So I'm just like, okay, well, maybe because, after having the baby 7 months straight, I breastfed, but I went without any physical, like any kind of strenuous activity. So when we started walking, we were walking 5 miles, and we walked from every other day to like every single day almost, like practically Monday through Friday. So by the time we stopped, I guess my body was in such a state of rest, it was like, okay, symptoms felt like, all right, y'all, it's time to make a debut. So they did. So it just was a gradual progression of going from my hands to my shoulders, and then to the rest of my body. And it got to the point where I couldn't go use the restroom without being in pain, couldn't pull my pants down. It was just a lot, The only time I sought comfort was when I got into a hot shower, because then my muscles would be more relaxed. Because when you're having a flare up and stuff, your muscles are so tense. Just like when my husband and my daughter take a nap, because he works third shift, so he has to get his sleep. When they take naps, I couldn't take a nap. I might lay down for 30 minutes, 10 of it I might be asleep, but I wouldn't be able to get enough rest, because being that I'm in, like right now, the sunlight is no good for me, but I can't just not go out in the sun, because a lot of things that I do requires me to be out in the daytime. So that's what the vitamin D that I take once a week is for. But like I said, when there's a lot of light in the room, I get headaches a lot. My muscles stay tense, my hands stay swollen. So I have to go into the darkest part of the living room where the sun isn't shining so bright, and I just have to chill. And it's hard to describe to people that don't go through it themselves. So, hopefully by doing these videos, I can provide a comfort for somebody else, as the other videos are providing one for me. And like I said, shout out to Asha Sharron, because just to see her just get around the way that she does, having to carry oxygen or whatever, thank God mine isn't that bad. But because it can always be worse. That's why you have to be grateful in this life, y'all. You have to appreciate the life that you have, because you only have one, so you gotta live to the best of your ability. No, I didn't think I would ever see myself here, feeling like the world is passing me by some days, but trying to get myself together is what's important. And I can't even put a time limit on myself, because you just, things can change in a year. No, I won't ever get rid of this, because once you have it, it's a lifelong thing. But can it always get better? Yes, it can. I just pray that my symptoms go into remission sometime soon with these new meds. And I have a great team, medical team. I have a great support team with my husband and my family members, and especially my friends, and just let you know, even the person that seems the strongest all the time has weak moments. So, right, y'all, I'm about to go ahead and get this day started, and who knows, I might do another video. It's no telling. But all right, happy Tuesday morning. Y'all have a good one. Peace.